says in effect that because current zoning law for Cape Vincent is inadequate, that's the reason why they're using it as a purpose for moving ahead and adopting a law. You're saying right up front, the town has said right up front, the last 2009 draft here was Tom's document, and you're saying right there that the reason you're doing this whole thing, the reason you've convened this whole group and committee to adopt the law is because your current law is inadequate. Has something changed?
No, I don't think you can say that it's inadequate, it just doesn't directly.
Well, that's what you
address
said, I didn't say that, I'm just reiterating what was said in the
it. That's
document.
not my statement.
It was in your draft for your committee,
Okay, but I didn't write it.
and it was also in the draft in 2006. Furthermore, if we go back, as far as the town board, you know, why is the town board ignoring the advice of one of their attorneys, the Jefferson County Planning Board Department representative that was here in 2006, members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and even the project manager from AES Acciona, who have said in the past that adopting a wind law is the best way to proceed with wind development. They've all said that. I mean, everybody here understood. I think you even said that to begin with when you convened the committee. So what's changed? Why? Why aren't we moving ahead? Why can't you be more firm on saying that we're gonna adopt the law, move ahead, and do that prior to the time you approve an application for?
Let's just back up a couple of years here. We were awful close to passing a zoning law a few years ago, but we couldn't get
Right.
3 votes on this board,
Mhm.
or there would be a law in place right now. Okay, then because we didn't have a law, and we had an application in front of the planning board, they chose to review it under site plan review. That was challenged by Article 78. And, well, let me back up there a little bit. Before it was challenged, they asked for a determination, all the opponents asked for a determination by the ZBA of why this was reviewable under site plan review. That's where we got to them being called utilities. Had that not been brought up, they probably wouldn't be considered a utility today. Okay, so we keep moving forward. Now they're being reviewed as a utility. It got challenged in court. That was upheld, that the ZBA ruled correctly. That was challenged again by an appeal, and was also held up by the Court of Appeals. So we're still under review as a utility. There's no reason to cancel the review of this project just because of that.
And there's no reason to cancel the whole idea of adopting a law. Even though the courts have said that you can handle this
That's probably
as a
true.
utility, you can still adopt a law.
But we would have had a law in place today, 3 years ago, we would have had a law in place.
Well, if you go back to 2006, because I'll differ a little with you. We did have 3 people that were agreeing with the law. If you recall, we did do that. We even moved to a positive declaration. But then when we went for a positive declaration, if you recall, it required that we do a generic environmental impact statement with that. And you also recall, is when we got the price tag from some of the people doing that kind of work was $40,000. And back in August, there was a resolution that Mickey put forward, and that you supported, that said, we haven't got the money to do that, we don't want to do that. And you said, so we're gonna kill this whole zoning process. That's what started this whole thing, going down the road, and that's at the same
But we
time.
didn't have enough
I'm
votes
just,
to
yeah,
pass it.
I know, but, well, wait a minute,
That resolution
you
didn't
wanted to
pass.
kill it. You didn't have enough votes to kill the zoning process, I voted no.
Right.
That's what happened.
Right.
And had we spent the money, which was the recommendation of the attorney at the time, he said, just spend the money. Because you looked at rescinding the positive deck and everything else, because you didn't want to spend the money. The remarkable thing is, you didn't want to spend $40,000 then, but with this committee that you just put up, you spent $20,000 of the town's taxpayers' money to support that, and you're just gonna pee that away by just saying, well, we're not even gonna bother doing anything with it, with that, with the current wind law.
I haven't heard
I haven't heard
anybody say
anybody
we're
say
not
that,
gonna
Jeff.
have the law. Nobody said that up here.
Didn't say anything.
Wait a minute, you have,
Wait a
you
minute.
have it.
We don't
That-
dare say some things, I'll tell you right now.
That
Because it all gets
$20
turned
is a-
around in the
is a
paper.
token amount compared to what the,
No,
what
but
amount
you,
of taxpayers' money
no,
is
but you
gonna
were,
spend
you
on
were
this
saying, had
two
we,
lawsuits.
I'm just saying, Tom, for your point about, if we hadn't gone through all this stuff, we could have had a wind law way back, and you're right, but the thing that killed the wind law, and the reason we didn't move ahead was the reluctance on the part of the town board to spend $40,000 for that study. If we had done that, we would have been ahead, we would have been further ahead, we would have been moving ahead.
The bottom line is the town hasn't made a determination at this point.
I'm addressing,
I understand that, but they've clearly said they haven't made that
I
determination.
don't wanna get
yet.
involved in that kind of thing, we're not gonna have that kind of a discussion. Last question. For each of the town board members, do you see any value in Attorney General Cuomo's code of conduct for wind farm development? Is there any value in that? Is there any value in that as related to what we're doing right here in this community?
I guess and I'll say this, try to be plain enough that these members that have potential, keep in mind that's potential conflicts of interest. That's why they were disclosed, not that they were saying they have a conflict, it was a potential conflict. If that's so wrong, and I've been so wrong that I haven't addressed those potential conflicts of interest, then where is our Attorney General? Why aren't we being investigated today? I guess that's my answer to that.
So you, well, I don't know how to interpret that, whether you think it has any value or not. I mean, is
If
that
they
saying,
can
in
find
fact, I mean,
wrongdoing,
is what the Attorney General's trying to do is just a waste of time? Because I think that's important.
I think it is.
You think it's a waste of time?
Yes, I do.
I mean, that's
Because
fair.
you have many small towns in New York State where board members, planning board members, zoning board members have relatives. And there's numerous conflicts out there. If we wouldn't have a water district in town of Cape Vincent right now, if we went by that, because everybody here would have a conflict of interest. It's a small town.
The thing
You're
is,
gonna have conflicts.
that's right. But
Nobody
there's a-
has done anything wrong that, that's,
Yeah, but that's not what it's about. You know, there aren't any people in jail because they had conflicts of interest. There's no one down here at our prison who's there for 3 to 5 or whatever the hell for conflict of interest. I mean, if you've done anything wrong, that's a felony and you're generally thrown in the who's cap. What this is all about, conflict of interest, is all about the perception. It's not about any kind of crime. If you commit any kind of crime, they're gonna haul you off for something else. But the point, I mean, this is important enough that the Attorney General is raising issues about it. He's got a whole code of ethics on this whole thing, which was brought about, by the way, with investigations into what some of these developers were doing with the municipal authorities. And those investigations are still underway. I'm just saying, if this board doesn't think there's anything to that, I mean, it's,
Maybe there
Fair.
is something to it if we did something wrong, but we haven't done anything wrong to it. That I see. I've been on this board
So you
again
don't-
for
yeah,
for
wait.
2.5 years. I haven't voted on a thing,
Oh, the board
on
hasn't-
windmills, not a thing,
that's right.
not a thing.
But
Did I
that's,
do anything wrong?
but that's gonna change.
Was I not supposed to be on the board?
No, but
When
no,
will
you
it
have-
change?
That's gonna change when you have to vote on some issues that are related to wind.
It might, if I vote on it. But
That's not the question. I mean, the question
it
is,
sounds like the
is there
question to
any,
me.
no, it doesn't, no, the question was, do you think there's any value with the Attorney General saying? At least Marty said no. He said it's a
I
waste of time.
agree with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the board's unanimous on this? You're smiling, Joe.
I wouldn't comment on it, I guess. There's gotta be value to what the Attorney General.
Yeah, you gotta pay attention to that kind of
Because
stuff.
he's the higher authority.
He's the
than we
highest
are.
legal authority in the state of New York.
So I'm
I
not
mean, he's
gonna
not an
say there's
idiot.
no value to it.
Well, there's probably value to it, you're right, but that don't mean it's for this town or other, some
So
towns,
then
yes.
somebody else worried about it. Okay.
Well, it could be. So we.
Well, I'll finish with some recommendations.